Hello and welcome everyone to Amigos IAS. I am Adnan. Today the world leaders are gathering in Delhi ahead of the G20 summit, and Delhi could become a venue to renew this Black Sea Grain Initiative. So in this backdrop, let us try to understand what is this Black Sea Grain Initiative. It has been in news for the past 1 year in the aftermath of Russian invasion of Ukraine. So let us try to understand what this initiative is and how it is going to impact the food inflation across the world and also impact the agricultural production. This topic will be helpful for General Studies Paper 2 International Relations and General Studies Paper 3 Agriculture and Food Security. So starting with this aspect, what is this deal about? Already we are familiar with the aspect of Russian invasion of Ukraine, and the war is going on since last year, Feb 2022. And it's been more than 1 year for this war. And what are the implications of the war? We already have been observing that, but the point of focus for today's lecture is the Black Sea Grain Initiative. So it was signed in Turkey, Istanbul. It was a deal which was brokered by the United Nations between the countries Russia, Ukraine, and Turkey also helped to broker this particular deal. And in this deal, which happened in July 2022 last year, the agreement was to provide Ukraine the chance to export its grains throughout the world, whatever the markets are. But in this agreement, there were actually two types. First agreement was allowing the Ukraine, see here, providing adequate supply of grains, limiting food price. For this, what they will be doing is, they will be allowing Ukraine, which is the world's bread basket, mostly European bread basket it is called, and Ukraine supplies barley and as well as oil seeds, rapeseed, wheat to the countries of Africa and Asia. So because of the war, the ports of Ukraine are now blocked by Russia and in the Black Sea. And because of this blocking of the ports of Ukraine, Ukraine is not able to send these shipments to those countries which are dependent on it. And now this deal was essential that Russia should allow Ukraine to export these grains. So this deal was signed in Istanbul. Fine. And the parties to this particular deal are United Nations brokered it, Turkey is there, Ukraine, Russia is there. A separate deal also was signed with Russia, because if Russia allows Ukraine to ship this particular agricultural produce, but what will Russia get in return? Already Russia is having a lot of sanctions by the European Union and the USA. So Russia also exports food and fertilizer. So Russia asked the UN that if I allow Ukraine to ship this particular agricultural produces to various parts, then what about for me? You have to allow Russian fertilizers and food the access to the world markets. So these two are the most important components of this particular deal, Black Sea Grain Initiative. And as a part of the initiative, they also have set up a joint coordination center. That means in this particular place, the representatives of UN, Turkey, Ukraine, as well as Russia will be there. They will be coordinating this particular deal. And as a part of this deal, what basically happens is, Russia is going to provide safe corridor, humanitarian corridor in the Black Sea. As we all know, Russia has Black Sea fleet. It has at least 50 warships and 7 nuclear submarines also it has. And because of this kind of presence in the Black Sea, Russia controls Black Sea. And Ukraine does not have the kind of naval power to match Russia. And Russia annexed Crimea in 2014 as well. And Russia also has taken control of the eastern part of Ukraine, where there were some ports. As a result, the accessibility of ports to Ukraine has decreased. So if we see the map, we'll be able to understand it much better. So this is Ukraine, as you can see, and this is Black Sea, Russia. And Ukraine's eastern part has been taken away by Russia. As a result, it does not have access to the seaports here, and Crimea also has been taken away by Russia. These are all in Russian control, as you can see. So what are the ports, major ports available for Ukraine now? 3 important ports are there: Odisha and Chornomorsk and Yuzhny. In this, Odisha is very important port for Ukraine. From majority of the shipments of agricultural produce like wheat and maize and barley will go from this particular seaport. And from this port, it goes into from this Black Sea. Russia will provide the safe passage up to 310 nautical miles, and after that it goes towards Turkey, and from there onwards it will go to the African countries as well. So many African countries, for example, like Libya and Egypt, are dependent on the Ukraine's wheat. 80% of their wheat requirement is met by Ukraine. Now imagine what will happen if Ukraine is not able to ship this particular wheat to those countries. And this is basically the map. If we come back to this aspect here, what makes Ukraine as the world's or Europe's breadbasket? Because Ukraine actually is the largest exporter of wheat, maize, rapeseed, sunflower seeds and sunflower oil in the world. It has fertile land and major contributor to UN's food aid program. So as a part of food security, United Nations food aid program is there. This was started by the FAO and UN General Assembly. And this program will be giving food to all those parts of the world where there is poverty and hunger. And for this food aid program, India also contributes. Ukraine also contributes. So we have to make sure that the shipments will actually reach the United Nations designated locations as well, because they have to give away this particular grains to the people who need them. So as a part of food security initiative, this is very important that we have to create the logistics for the shipments to arrive. Food security in the poor nations of the world has deep sea ports. We have just now seen the map of the deep sea ports as well, and from there it imports to the Middle Eastern countries and the North African countries. And if we come back to the next aspect here, it's been like 1 year. It's been like 1 year. This deal has been extended. Initially it was there for 120 days, but twice it has been extended and it expired on July 17th. Now a question is coming whether we should extend this deal further or not. But Vladimir Putin has outrightly rejected to extend this particular initiative. Now, what are the reasons behind that? We have to try to understand, because here what the analysis comes in. So Russia is facing trouble because on one hand, Russia has been slapped with sanctions for many years by USA and the European Union. And Russia's sanctions means Russia will not be having access to financial markets. And Russia also is saying that it is not getting access to the markets for food and fertilizers as promised in the deal. So Putin is like, I have accepted my side of the deal, but you have not kept your side of the deal. So why should I actually continue this deal? That means Putin is saying that unless you give me concessions, why will I accept this particular deal? And actually Turkey's President Erdogan went to Sochi, a place, it's a port town in Black Sea. Initially it was supposed to be Russia, Putin was supposed to meet Turkey's president in Turkey, but Turkey is a NATO ally. We have to understand very important point here, the geopolitics between USA and Russia, and Turkey is a player, Turkey is a country of NATO. But still what they have done in Sochi in Russia, they have met, and Erdogan tried to convince Putin, but he did not accept the proposition, and he said that he will not accept this deal. So what is the problem? Because he said that I am not getting the concessions what was promised to me as per the deal, so why should I extend it? And barriers on payment platforms because of sanctions, insurance, shipping, logistics, everywhere you have certain kind of blocks because of sanctions. So Putin is asking the world leaders to ease that particular sanctions. And then Ukraine has since exported to middle income countries. Now the argument that Ukraine's shipments have to go to different parts of the world for food security, Russia is saying, but Ukraine is not giving this so-called grains to poor countries recently. Because of this particular easing of the movement of the ships, Ukraine is supplying this mostly the grains to high income countries or middle income countries, but not for the poor countries. Even UN has said that yes, it is true. Ukraine is not supplying these grains to the poor countries, but because the supply is more in the market, the inflation levels have reduced. This automatically helps the poor countries. That is the logic given by United Nations. And next point is Russia is also looking to export grain to African nations. 21.9% of barley, wheat and maize to the world is supplied by Russia and Ukraine. And Russia is also trying to expand its markets. Already Russia exports the food and fertilizers to countries of Middle East and Africa, and Russia is trying to now diversify its markets as well. And Ukraine, which so far used to have the markets of West Asia and Africa, and now it has gone to eastern part of the Europe. And because of Ukraine having this facilitation of this trade, what happened was Ukraine was able to supply these grains a lot to the Eastern Europe. So countries like Romania, Poland, Hungary, Slovakia, Bulgaria, they got affected because of excessive supply of the grains from Ukraine, and the farmers of those countries face problems. As a result, temporary sanctions or temporary tariffs were put or bans were put on Ukraine's grains as well, because of the Eastern European farmers facing the problem. They could not compete with the Ukraine grains. So as you can see here, this issue is quite complicated, and one question also arises, why Turkey is involving in this matter? Because Turkey has seen 60% inflation in recent times, which has now gone to 47%. So Turkey also is quite wary of food inflation increasing, and it is not good for the economy as well. So Turkey also has to make sure that this food inflation should not rise, because anywhere food insecurity or food inflation will impact the entire world. As we have seen in Pakistan, how people have struggled to get the basic food. People did not have even wheat to eat, and people have rioted in Pakistan, as we have seen. So any kind of disruptions in global supply chains will impact almost every country. So we have to make sure that these supply chains have to be restored. And if we keep on holding up this particular the ports, what happens is now you have to go for alternative transportation routes, which will increase the costs. So either way, everybody is going to be a loser, but we have to wait and watch how Russia is going to behave. One important point is, in the G20 summit, United Nations Secretary General Antonio Guterres has an agenda that he wants to use this G20 forum to take some initiative on this Black Sea grain deal. And also Turkey's president is also about to visit India, and we have to wait and watch, can India be used as a place or a forum to bring some changes or to bring some kind of agreement between the United Nations, European Union, Turkey, as well as Ukraine and Russia. So we have to wait and watch how this issue progresses. And India's comment on this particular issue is, we of course we do not blame any particular country, but India accepts UN's proposition that we need to always keep the global supply chains intact, and this is what you can write in the way forward. A solution has to be brought this, which is amicable to all the parties involved. So that's it for today in this class. I will see you again. Thank you.